Captain Chaos. Did you mess up another report again?
Sorry, Sergeant Be Safe. I'll try to be more, careful.
What in the world was that? Whoa, look out the window, Captain Chaos. There's a real live superhero.
We have to meet them, Sergeant Be Safe. Let's go!
There's Supercrime Buster to the rescue.
Hey, there's Supercrime Buster! Woohoo!
Hey, you're the greatest, Supercrime Buster.
Yeah, we know Supercrime Buster's out there. We're actually on the way, but we keep getting phone calls. Excuse me, Supercrime Buster. I'm Sergeant Be Safe, and this is my partner, Captain Chaos. We'd like to thank you for your incredible bravery.
Yeah, you're amazing. We're big fans.
Wait, you are the police officers, but not the superheroes?
No, we're just ordinary officers doing our duty.
But we may not have superpowers, but we're heroes in our own way.
You're right! The heroes don't always wear capes or possess superhuman abilities. It's the everyday heroes like you who make a difference.
Thank you, Supercrime Buster, for that reminder. You are absolutely 100% correct. To all the first responders and law enforcement officers, take it from me and Captain Chaos. We applaud you. We know you do a thankless job and are highly needed. You are a superhero in your own right. Keep up the good work in these perilous times because you are needed. Wouldn't you agree, Kraken? And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
Welcome to Black and Blue, the podcast that's just for you. We bring solutions to everyday problems. We are here to humanize the badge. By interviewing first responders and discussing their trainings, experiences, and publications. Black and Blue airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in.
start the show. There we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Black and Blue, where we go live weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when we go live with the first responder, and we talk about their trainings, their experiences, and their publications. And the first responder that we go live with, they're either a rookie, they're seasoned, or retiree. And we have a treat for you today. But before I introduce them, let me get some housekeeping rules out there. I got to introduce myself. I'm Coach Clee. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we're having a lot of fun right here. We go live once a week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live on these platforms, on Facebook, 2 on Facebook, 1 on LinkedIn, and 2 on YouTube. So I say that to say I cannot see who's all in here unless you put your name and where you're from in the comment section, and we'll give you the shout out that you're looking for. This is also live and interactive. So if you have a question or a comment, put that in the comment section and we'll address it as soon as we can. I see they got one in there. Let me see who we got. Yep. Good evening. Thank you, Shayla. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys tag, like, and share. Again, I'm Coach Clee. I'm your host. I'm coming live with you here on Black and Blue. Black and Blue is sponsored by One Way Publishing. One Way Publishing is the book publishing company that sponsors Sergeant Be Safe, the cartoon that you saw at the beginning of this platform. Also, their book publishing. I wrote 5 books myself through them. They're behind me. They have many other clients that wrote their books there as well. Their motto is they can turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. So whether you wanted to write your own fiction, nonfiction, cookbook, children's book, autobiography, biography, whatever it is, they can get it done. But, I'm here with the videos because I get tongue-tied as soon as I try and explain it. Here, One Way Publishing can explain it 10 times better than I can. Stand by. Publishing. Have you ever wanted to explain something, tell a story, or leave a piece of you behind? Have you ever wanted to write your own book, but not specifically know how to do it? Well, get ready. One Way Publishing's here. We can turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. People need to learn from you. They need to hear that story. Kids need to read that book. Imagine if you wrote your own children's book and get to read it to your kids. Here at One Way Publishing, we can get your fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, instructional, what have you, done. All at a reasonable price and definitely a reasonable time frame. And if you don't believe me, ask Sergeant Be Safe. He's working on his right now. He's definitely writing the best chapter of his life. Make sure you check out his cartoon skits that air on the podcast Black and Blue.
As Sergeant Be Safe said, that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And you see the website scrolling below. Make sure you check that. It's also in the comment section. So make sure you guys check that out. Not now, but at the end of this live, make sure you guys check that out. If you're interested in being on the show, that's how you can also fill out the registration form on that same website as well. If you're interested in doing a voiceover for Sergeant Be Safe, same spot. Okay. But I want to jump right into this interview. We got a couple things. Got another. I'm not going to give all the treats away. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you may know who the guest is. He's been out here. He's on different platforms himself. He's no stranger to law enforcement. He's no stranger to platforms such as LinkedIn or YouTube. He's got his own YouTube channel as well, and we'll talk about that. He's a former a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He's been 15 years in the law enforcement agency. He speaks on PTSD, addiction, and depression. He's a dynamic speaker and also an author. Of course, I've got one of his books right here, 101 Tips for Police Officers. Make sure you guys get your own copy. He's got other books as well. He's a content creator. He's been featured in Police One, also in Law Enforcement Today, and he's a top-ranked podcaster with his podcast, the 10 Code Mindset. And we're going to sample a video from his podcast here, and we're going to jump right into the interview. So stand by.
Oh my gosh, I recently turned 40. Seriously, I remember when my dad celebrated his 40th birthday, and now I'm turning 40. But I must say, I'm not feeling as old as I thought I would. Just getting started. However, there's been lessons I've learned along the way. I'm going to say 40 of them right now. Number one, humanity will let you down, but God will not. Two, people do not care about how much you know until they know about how much you care. Number three, one of the greatest parts of life is marrying the right person. There's been so many times where I wonder why in the world is my wife with me, but I'm so grateful that she is. Number four, mess up, fess up. I appreciate that lesson, Dad. I really do. Number five, exercise really does help with mental health just as much as physical health. Number six, when you feel helpless, become helpful. I don't know who said it. Very powerful quote, though. If the federal government is swooshing in to solve a problem, there's a good chance it caused said problem in the first place. Number eight, self-discipline is a must. Number nine, something could be right in front of my face and I still won't see it. Literally. Number 10, Krispy Kreme will always be better than Dunkin' Donuts. Number 11, but sugar isn't your ally. Number 12, putting in the effort to thrive and not just survive is definitely worth it. Number 13, laugh. Don't be so serious in life because none of us make it out alive. Number 14, when you make something a priority, all of a sudden there is the time for it. Number 15, grass-fed meat is better than grain-fed meat. Number 16, when you say you should do something, you probably won't get it done. But when you say you must get it done, that's huge. Number 17, people who say money isn't important to them don't have a lot of money. Thank you for that lesson, T.R. Vecker. And if you haven't read his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I highly recommend it. We could always be better. Work on you, thus showing up that much better for others. Number 19, hang around losers, you'll probably be a loser. One of my favorite quotes by Les Brown. Number 20, we are the sum of the choices we make. That is said a lot in the personal development industry. Number 21, it's better to procrastinate about procrastination. Thank you for teaching me about that, Dr. Bob, when I was in college. Number 22, burpees will always be difficult, but worth doing. Number 23, Psalm 91. Number 24, do something that sucks every day. David Goggins. Number 25, financially wealthy people are good managers of money, but also have more than one stream of income. Number 26, for the first 35 years of my life, I thought guided meditations were a waste of time. Boy, was I wrong. Number 27, stretch. Number 28, pain is only temporary. I heard this phrase so much in the Marines, it's true. Number 29, in moments of danger or crisis, you don't rise to the level of your expectations, you sink to the level of your training. Number 30, hearing and listening are two different things. So many times it is better to actively listen, and I constantly have to work on this. Number 31, act fast on something new and productive before your brain talks you out of it. Number 32, our brains are not designed to make us happy. Happiness is a choice. Number 33, I'll be happy when is a damaging mentality. Number 34, avoid letting the emotions of others determine your emotion. Number 35, comparison will destroy your brain health. Speaking from experience on that one. Number 36, healthy relationships with people are massive when it comes to happiness. Number 37, get outside in the sun. Number 38, telling someone to calm down is about as pointless as asking your dentist to do your taxes. Number 39, micromanagers are exhausting. Number 40, I'm just getting started because there is a lot more to learn and do. 40 lessons at 40. I hope some of you watching this found meaning behind it. Take care of yourself and may God bless.
And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me get this banner up here. I'm going to bring him to the stage, none other than Scott Medlin. Scott, are you there?
I am here, Coach Klee. I appreciate it. I really do. I'm honored to be on the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you. Like I said, it's nice to meet you, even though it's virtually, but it's nice to meet you face to face. And thank you for blessing my show by coming on here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what gave you the burning desire to actually want to be a first responder, as in getting into the Marines and becoming a police officer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I just saw that Clayton signed on. Hello, Clayton. We'll meet Clayton one day in person. I know it for sure. Anyway, yeah, back when I was a kid, I remember there were two incidents where I lived in a small neighborhood where everyone knew each other. Well, one day I was out in the garage waiting on my mom to come take my brothers and I somewhere. And we saw a guy going door to door, and we knew he didn't live in the neighborhood. And he was getting really up close to the doors and then looking in windows. I mean, I was just a little kid. It just didn't feel right. And I pointed him out to my mom, and she called my dad and she said, what should I do? And he said, well, call the police. And I'll just never forget that feeling of, I want the police to come help protect me and my mom. We left, so I don't know what happened, but I'll just never forget that feeling. And that kind of planted the seed to, I want the police to protect me. And then when I was 15, I was in high school sophomore year, and I went to a career fair, having no idea what I wanted to do at 15. But I spoke to the police recruiter at the hometown police department, And then he got my interest going. And then at 17, I did my first ride along. I was sold. So, but I went into the Marines prior to law enforcement and went 2 tours in Iraq. And then when I got out of the Marines and college, that's when I went into law enforcement and was sworn from 2007 to 2022, but encountered some struggles I never thought would happen to me.
Gotcha. Thank you for the rundown. And shout out to Dr. Travis Yates. He's on here, said, good looking guys. Clayton Powell is on here. He's saying hello to me and yourself as well. He's watching from Seattle. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
You've written a few books, and this one right here is the one I've been reading this past week. And you give a lot of good tips in this book. First off, what led you to actually want to become an author and share these tips and write a book?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I never thought I would be an author, but in 2020, I'd been on the job for 13 years at that point. And that's when I learned for the first time, like I found out for the first time that more cops were dying by suicide than in the line of duty. I know that's nothing new, but I didn't know about it. And that enraged me that I had never had any training on how to protect me from me and how my brothers and sisters in blue could protect each other from each other. I mean, it's like, why was this not an emphasis? And I had been through some struggles. I knew that a lot of others were going through some struggles. I knew morale was being challenged, particularly in 2020. And I was just like, I got to dive into this fight to help keep us alive and thriving, even in challenging times. So I wrote my first book, Mental Health Fight of the Heroes in Blue, where I just basically pointed out the fact that we are human beings and we cannot be in denial nor complacent about how the job of law enforcement will in fact affect you, and how you react is very important.
Yeah.
But I felt like I didn't give enough solutions. So I wanted to, for lack of a better phrase, arm officers with more knowledge and on practical tips they could implement for their health. I'm not a fitness and expert, like certified nutritionist by any means, but through the treatment I've received, through the research I did, I wrote 101 health tips for police officers just to give them that much more information for encouragement and practical ways to move forward to better themselves and stay healthy on the job.
Yeah, I know there's a couple points in your book that, again, I'll hold it up. And I know your website's scrolling below, ladies and gentlemen. I got this one off of Amazon as well, so you guys can go there and get your copy. A couple things that resonated with me while reading the tips that you provided in this book. One of them is about health and fitness and vitamins and nutrition and things along those lines. Working a rotating schedule, as most of us first responders do. Most of us, I can't say, some of us work 12, some work 10s, some work 8s, whatever your schedule is. But with most rotate, whether it's day shift, mid shift, or night shift, whatever your rotation is, or day shift and night shift is 12 hours. It's very difficult to maintain a proper diet when you're constantly rotating, the maintain a schedule for exercise. What kind of tips do you give on doing that? Because that gives you mental clarity, gets those endorphins going, keeps you in shape. And we all know it's a dangerous job, and being in shape mentally and physically is very important.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. First thing I did was I promised myself during the career I would bring my lunch to work most of the time. And I stuck with that promise I made to myself because I had control over what I would eat. When I go, because I know how I am. When I go to a restaurant and I see, say it was like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I see that picture of that milkshake. I'm going to get that milkshake. Yeah. So I'm one of those that tries to keep myself away from the temptation as much as possible. But also, I knew I was working as a police officer. I wasn't making bukus of money. So bringing in my lunch helped me save money. So it started with bringing my lunch to work consistently. And then I had a choice as to what I could do to bring healthy stuff to work to fuel my body as good as I can. Now, here's where I failed, though, on night shift.
What's that?
Particularly at 3 a.m. when we had already been working for 7 hours. I would go to the gas station, get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But then I would pour a bunch of sugar in it, and then I would go get that big cookie right by the cash register, saying, "Well, I need a sugar boost." And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, my voice is getting hoarse.
Yeah.
I'm coughing. I've got heartburn. It's just because the sugar and all that was just having a totally adverse reaction in my body. and it was also affecting my body's ability to produce serotonin, which helps to level out our mood. And I didn't know all this, just how bad of an effect it was taking. And that's why I wrote about that and bringing your lunch and really making it a point to focus on what you're eating throughout your career, because fueling your body with, well, it's not really fueling your body, but putting junk into your body means feeling like junk and essentially performing like junk on the job. It affects us mentally as well. So yeah, I mean, you really have to be intentional about it, but it's not as complicated as someone would perceive it initially.
Right. And so going hand in hand with that, talking about diet and how it affects your mood mentally and how it affects your performance. How important is sleep? I know that in your book, you talked about how you lived, what I believe an hour and a half away from where you worked before. So sometimes you get off your shift and have to make that commute home, and that commute would be difficult. And sometimes you struggled on falling asleep behind the wheel. What are some tips on that? I know there's a bunch of officers that I know and that work throughout this country that don't actually live in the same area where they patrol or work.
Yeah, absolutely. The 90-minute drive you're thinking of, that was Lieutenant Kevin Tater. He wrote his story in my book. He had the 90-minute drive, but I lived in a different city where I worked, and I worked on the north end of the city in that patrol district, and I had to drive all the way through the city to get home. So I'm looking at minimum of 30 minutes.
Gotcha.
What I found was the less I ate prior to ending shift, the better. Because if I went home on a full stomach, it was just really a struggle. But also I got up and walked around as much as I could prior to clocking out, just to get the chemicals going, the endorphins going.
Yeah.
But if I did get attacked by what has been called to me, and I refer to it as the sleepy monster, on the way home, I wasn't a hero about it. I remember one time I fell asleep, like dozed off in the middle of a four-way intersection in my neighborhood, thank goodness, not a major intersection. And that was a wake-up call. Like everybody, particularly law enforcement, you get that one moment where it's like, okay, I've been given a second chance. I can't wish for a third or take the chance on a third, because you're probably not going to get it. So anyway, I would be that one to stop and do push-ups on the side of the road. I didn't care who was looking at me, just to wake up.
I remember when I was in the Army, I was stationed at Fort Bragg, and I'm going back years and years ago. And I'd make the trip up to 95, and I would do it. And I was young then. I was 19, 20, 21-ish. So therefore, I'd work a full day, get off at 1700, already had the car packed up. And as soon as I got off, I'm headed up north. And there's many times in the middle of the night when I'm doing good, but then I hit that rest stop where I'm like, man, I can't make it anymore. And I remember getting out the car at the rest stop and knocking about 25, 50 push-ups, bam, bam, getting the sweat going just so I can get back on the road and stop. Because I didn't want to stop, pull over, go to sleep. I didn't want to waste any time because I wanted to enjoy as much of the weekend as I could back home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had different motivation back then. But yeah, just getting home after shift just to get some rest is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you have fueled your body with nutrition and staying hydrated during shift, the more it can help out as well, getting you home safely during that drive, particularly after working night shift.
Yeah. And speaking of more about sleep, you gave another tip in there as well. And I never thought about it, about actually when you're at home and you're in your bed and you're going to sleep or soon going to sleep, as in meditating or telling yourself or reminding yourself that you are safe right now. You're in a safe space. And it helps you mentally to actually, to unwind so you can get a deeper sleep. And I know there's many times we've all had the dream where we're fighting and we're no matter how hard we're hitting someone, it's not working, or we're firing a weapon and it's not working, or whatever, or we wake up out of a cold sleep and we're just, where are we at? What's going on? Did I lock the garage door? Did I shut all the windows? You go through a checklist as opposed to just as you're unwinding and going to sleep, reminding yourself, I'm safe, I'm in a safe place, and you can get that 6, 7, 8 hour night sleep or day sleep, whatever your shift is, and let your body recuperate.
Yeah, it helps bring down that hypervigilance state to which some can sunken face, and you think it's awareness. And I had to learn this the hard way. I went through a period in my life where, it was a few years ago. I was treated through cognitive processing therapy, where it was revealed to me just how I had some stuck points, like stuck thoughts, negative thoughts. People can't be trusted, or you always have to be on guard. And they were telling me these symptoms that were actually coming about because of these thoughts. And one of them was, you need to tell yourself you're safe when you're at home and you're getting in your bed. You're not at work anymore. And you may obviously see that you're not at work anymore, but mentally you're still there. And just affirm to yourself, I can relax. Give yourself permission to relax.
Wow. And giving yourself permission to relax, and getting enough sleep, how does that affect your family life and your social life as well?
Oh my, sleep is everything. My friend Roger Rugi, who's a resilience coach, he says, if you want to achieve anything in life, whether it's physical fitness, mental strength, build relationships, have a good social life, sleep has to be your number 1, number 2, and number 3 priorities.
Wow.
Because if you don't prioritize that, then everything else is pretty much, I wouldn't say impossible, but you're not going to get the optimal level of whatever you're working for or whatever you need to do. And it's so unfortunate that in law enforcement, we kind of do the whole, well, I'll just drink a bunch of Monster drinks or I'll sleep when I'm dead. Sleep's overrated. No, I'll get sleep later. We can't have that mentality. It's very damaging. And the first few years I had it, and I started getting sick. Clee, I never missed a day from kindergarten to my senior year in high school. Well, I missed one day by 30 minutes. I very rarely got sick. But when I didn't emphasize nor prioritize my necessity for sleep, working those rotating shifts, I got sick so much. And therefore, a lot of other things in my life went downhill as well because of the lack of sleep. It can't be said enough. Please have a routine and make a conscious effort to learn as much as you can about how to optimize your sleep. You have to.
Good point. I remember hearing in the military, I remember playing sports all through high school and hearing the tropes. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Right now, we're living it up. You go to school, you go to practice, you're hanging out. Same thing with the military. You're going to work, then especially the weekends. Weekends that are supposed to be for recovery. in the barracks, actually, it's ramped up even more because it's party time.
Yeah, right. Get your little 20-minute power nap and then go back to formation the next day.
Yeah, exactly. You struggle through the entire week. I remember those days. Yeah. You also give another tip in your book here, and I actually tried this, not even knowing that I tried it, which was giving up listening or watching the news for 30 days and having a spotter. Being able for a world event or something major that would happen, so you can still stay up on current events if something major would happen. But other than that, stop flooding your mind with current news because it was I stopped watching it before a couple years ago because constantly I felt like I was at work. It just felt depressing. All the stories were sad. There was no solutions. Everything was downridden. I'm like, man. And I was like, there's no point in going outside. Everyone's bad. I don't feel like all the stories were just pretty much depressing. And stop watching the news actually uplifted my time while I was home. And I didn't even know that that was a tip or something that was affecting me personally. And then seeing you give that as a tip was a big deal as well.
Oh man, and a lot of people say they have stopped watching the news. However, are you scrolling your phone and checking the headlines? And the thing is, social media brings about all these headlines, news stories. We may not read the story or quote watch the news on TV, but are you still exposing your mind to the negative headlines at either at an obsessive level or an impulsive level, and it's something I have to be careful about. But yeah, I do challenge people, go 30 days, 60 days without watching the news or checking any headlines at all. But yeah, there's that fine print. Obviously, if you're working in law enforcement, you might want to know if there's a trending crime in the surrounding cities. Yeah, okay, you probably need to know that. Yeah. But you don't need to say you are in New Jersey. You don't need to know if some carjacker is hitting up the committing crimes in San Francisco, California. It's not going to affect you.
Yeah.
So you're already exposed to so much negativity in the job of law enforcement, seeing people at their worst, whether they're just having a bad day or they in fact do have ill intentions to harm other people.
Yeah.
Or even it is what it is, the toxicity within the department. I mean, no place is perfect. You're
Right.
exposed to so much negativity. Do all that you can to reduce additional exposure. And cutting out the news for an extended period of time just gives your brain a break. I mean, I remember when I did the 30-day fast, it's like my shoulders felt better. And there wasn't a lot of tension. It's just amazing what we consume mentally can affect us physically as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the good tips is there right there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're gonna pause for the call. Stay right there. Sergeant Be Safe has a few words that he's gonna share with us, and we're gonna jump right back into it. Stand by.
Your service has been temporarily disconnected.
Psst. Hey, Megan. You need those pills to help you feel better. Treacherous Tony can help you.
Megan, no. Don't listen to him. It's dangerous.
Oh, no.
Hey there, sweetheart. Looking for something special?
I've got this strange feeling something's not right. Captain Chaos, come on. We need to go investigate.
Investigate? But I just bought a new yo-yo.
Oh my goodness. I just don't get it. Hold it right there, Treacherous Tony. We know what you're up to.
And we won't let you harm innocent people.
You can't stop me. I've got connections.
We're not afraid of your connections, Tony. We're here to protect the community.
And make sure Megan gets the help she needs legally.
Thank you, officers.
You are absolutely welcome, Megan. Remember, folks, there's legal ways to get the help that you need. Don't let anyone take advantage of you.
And if you ever need a helping hand, Sergeant Be Safe and Captain Chaos are here to save the day.
And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you for standing by. We're back here with the interview. We got Scott Medlin right here. We've been discussing about tips that he's given with his book, his experiences while in the Marines and in law enforcement itself, and things that got him to the point where he's at right now. And that point, my next question I have for you, you have your own podcast, the 10 Code Mindset, and we saw a brief clip of that at the beginning of the intro of this. What led you to actually want to start your own podcast and give out tips to fellow law enforcement officers?
Well, the first thought was, dang, I've been in a psychologist's office so much as a patient, I can save some officers some copay and maybe just tell them what I learned. But no, it was also, I mean, it was that, but it was also a matter of, I knew that my law enforcement career was coming to an end. And I thought, you know what, I've been in it for several years. Why not take what I learned and the struggles I went through, open up about those? And I never know who's listening sometimes, but at least I'll be able to present encouragement or tips and techniques for job performance and safety and stuff like that. So it was just a matter of taking knowledge learned, experiences I went through, and just trying to help out whoever needs encouragement or is looking for guidance. Because a lot of, like on my YouTube channel, a lot of the audience is those interested in getting into law enforcement or those that are new to it.
Yeah. I saw you give a few tips on wanting to get into law enforcement, or if you're in the academy, what to expect. I know one of you wrote a book on things like that as well. Is that your audience? Is that who you're gearing your information towards, or is it wide open for first responders all the way in general?
Oh, definitely wide open for first responders in general. There's a lot of stuff covered on the YouTube channel. I mean, all the way from what's it like to be a police officer to actual ways to deal with stress. I cover a wide variety of topics, and I was pretty blessed the other day. I got notified that my channel has gotten over 700,000 views, so we're getting close to 1 million. It's pretty exciting. But thank you. But the podcast, I bring on a lot of good guests that can push people past their comfort zone on certain things when it comes to taking care of ourselves and pushing back against the threat we have, with that being of suicide and mental health illnesses and issues that law enforcement can face. I mean, it's a mission I'm on, and I'm not stopping. That's for sure, because there's some people out there, they might not admit it, they might not talk about it, but they need encouragement, and 10 Code Mindset, give all I can to provide just that encouragement and knowledge.
Yeah, and like you said, well, congratulations to your channel doing so well. Like you said, you cover a lot of topics, as in cold weather gear to get to prepare for these cold weathers that's coming up, or like you said, some officers aren't aware that suicide it takes us, we take our own selves out the game, just from things that we see, things we experience, not being able to vocalize it or process it or whatever it may be. Car accidents are up there as well, but we're taking ourselves out of the game before we don't get our mental health checked. We don't use our EAP or things along those lines. I know you had guests on the show that actually considered it, have actually tried to take themselves out. Miracles have happened to intervene and intercede, and then they finally got the help. Something they discussed their story, and it's inspired others to do the same. And if we lose one more officer, one more first responder to self-inflicted harm, it's just one too much. And I know you can feel the energy and passion coming through on your podcast on how you're trying to alleviate that and educate not only ourselves but others on the importance of it.
Yeah, and I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not. I make that very clear in the show and in the disclaimers, the little fine print under the videos. But what I do know is that, unfortunately, denial and complacency are kicking our rears. Like, it's just, well, this won't happen to me, or the damaging phrase, it's only 3 words, I am fine. How many times do you hear that? Like, if you just leave a house where if you just leave a house, say you're a detective and you got called by patrol because a child was found inside deceased, and you walk out and you say, I'm okay. What? No, you're not. You just saw a child. You at least acknowledge it and say, that was sad to see. Acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge it. It's just simple things like that. We just can't be in denial and complacency. And then also, it's a matter of thinking that you're alone. I've had, just like you said, Coach, I've had guests on who got to a point where they actually tried to take their own life. Fortunately, they were not successful. But it's proof that you're not alone. More than likely, you are going through something that another person somewhere has gone through, and they can talk to you about it and show you that there's more than one way out of the pain.
Yeah.
There's that saying, suicide is a solution to a temporary problem. I don't agree with that statement in the sense that suicide solution? No. That should never be looked at that way at all.
Yeah.
The problems are temporary, as one of my favorite motivational speakers, Les Brown, said. A problem has not come to stay; it has come to pass.
Yeah.
But you have to absolutely know that suicide is not an option. There are other ways to get out of pain, and there's a lot of police officers and former police officers I have talked to that are proof of that, and they know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Show up for you, and thus in turn you can show up that much better for others, which I know you care about for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to meet Les Brown when I was in Los Angeles at a training before. He's one of my favorite motivational speakers as well. I know he doesn't.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because it was only a 30-second introduction, and it was amongst a group of people, but it was very memorable for me.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. That's cool.
But I had a guest on the show, former police officer who rose through the ranks, and he explained then how he liked to promote quote unquote damaged officers that have gone through a divorce, officers that have had some sort of depression, had some sort of bankruptcy, had businesses that failed. Therefore, when they were honing new officers, rookies, new recruits, they already had life experience on things that can happen on the job or things that can happen in your personal life outside the job, and they can mentor those officers. Because I know one thing that we times are tough. We have a tough job to do. We all man up per the word, and we suck it up, we deal with it, and we don't always share the hard parts. We keep it in. We that's just what we're fixers. We're fixers. We're not ones that seem to be that we need to be fixed. And actually going through a tough time and sharing it is very important, especially with the new oncoming breed, the new recruits coming in, because they're coming in for whatever aspirations and expectations they have. It's a good thing. They want to do a good job, and they're not seeing what's going to hit them in the blind side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're not vigilant, what I always say when I go out and speak is, police are trained overall pretty well, in my opinion, about recognizing external risks, external threats that can present themselves. Particularly, it becomes instinctive through training and experience, watching the hands, because the hands is what really does the killing in a lot of incidents. But are we overall trained to recognize internal risks, internal threats that can present themselves? And this can be thoughts that create very damaging emotions that can lead to very dangerous actions to ourselves, that can have very damaging results.
Yeah,
we need to shift the training to be just as willing and aware of internal things as well, regarding what's going on between the ears and within our bodies as well. We have to. We don't have a choice, because the statistics show just how dangerous we are to ourselves.
So what kind of solutions would you suggest to someone who is actually feeling like they're alone, or like you said, I am fine, for whatever kind of situation it may be, whether depression, anxiety, whatever it may be?
Right. Start small. Just even if it means standing up, taking a deep breath, puffing your chest out, being proud, like you are proud, taking forgot if I said it, but take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then say, I can get over this. Like, speak well to yourself, and then move your body, go on a walk. It actually changes the way you feel physically, which can get you out of like this funk state that you're in this depressed state. When I was doing my research for the books, that's what I learned. Like, if you move your body, it actually can help uplift you out of a bad state of being. And then call someone that you love, call someone you like, call someone you can trust, and talk.
Yeah.
You've heard it said a million times, but I'm going to say it 1,000,001. It's not weakness. It is more strength to own up and take responsibility and take action. You are very strong for doing that, and you can do it. And that's what I say. Just start with that simple step. That, like, just start with something, and then you can continuously show up for yourself. And I mean, heck, one time it took me up to 30 days to change the way I was thinking, but I just kept showing up. Yeah. You can do it. It is possible, and it is worth every bit of effort.
Yeah. Good explanation. Thank you. Thank you. Got Tim Tyndale. He's on the show saying, great job. Thank you. Got Michael Curtis on here talking about my God. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys tag, like, and share. And I know that what you said in your book, also one of the tips that you gave, one that I use, that I learned it in the academy, was combat breathing. You talk about in for 4 seconds, then hold. In your book, you say hold for forever. And then deep breathing as well, because you talk about actually we don't breathe properly. We don't breathe down to the pit of our stomach and exhale it. And while I was reading that in your book, I actually started deeper breathing. And it felt better. I felt more energized. It actually it forced me to get up and actually stretch.
Nice. Good. And that action is where the change is made, for sure. I mean, it's just a matter of, I lost count of how many times I went blue lights and siren to a call.
Yeah.
By the time I got out of the car, I was like, why do I feel like I just ran a little bit? It's because I was holding my breath the whole way there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, let's face it, if our brains don't have oxygen, it doesn't function. So therefore, let's set ourselves up for a good optimal level of functioning up here, particularly when you arrive and have to make split-second decisions to protect yourself. And importantly, the people that call 911, breathe. We have to breathe. And it's also a matter of what I learned, because I take yoga classes just for the physical aspect of it, stretching and strength building and stuff like that. You're basically, your gut breathing is good. Like, expand your stomach, not short chest breathing, which can trigger stress to your body.
Oh, wow.
And so good full breathing is paramount. It absolutely is, because I also, through my research, found out, like, we don't get an optimal level of oxygen to our brains if we're particularly stressed. And I mean, we all know police didn't create stress, but we darn sure have mastered it. So yeah, breathe. Got to breathe.
Yeah. And I know you also, you talk about yoga. Are you still practicing martial arts?
I haven't over the last year. I've got a bad shoulder. I don't want to tear this rotator cuff.
Gotcha.
But when I worked in law enforcement, training was a must. I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I realized when I got out of the rookie school. I mean, I was training prior to that, but when I got out of the rookie school and I was working through the career, I was like, some of these officers, the only defensive tactics they've been trained was in the rookie school, and here we are 5-10 years after the rookie school. That's not good. And I mean, we can find video after video of officers having to go hands-on. They have no idea what they're doing. I think there needs to be a culture shift where we need to focus on defensive tactics, because as John Gentile stated in the documentary Wrist Lock, produced by Jason Harney, a retired Las Vegas police sergeant, John said, the more I train, the more I know how to use force, the less likely I am to use force, because you're confident and you don't get into that hyper state to which you react adversely to something. But if you do have to use it, then by gosh, you've got the skill to do it and can gain control of someone very fast. So I trained all throughout my career, and it helped a lot. But Coach, it was also great up here too. The exercise, the warm-ups we would do, or we would do deep breathing, it helped up here. And it also helped me to find good people doing good things, like positive people at the gym that didn't work in law enforcement. I know we all say and believe, and it is true, you need friends outside of the job, but you need good quality people who will lift you up outside of the negativity that you're already going to face. So be mindful of who you're around. I found some very cool, fun, smart, successful people at these martial arts gyms where I attended. That's cool.
Surrounding yourself with the very positive and important people, you take on the traits of the people that's in your circle. So that's always a necessary must. Yeah. I see Jamon's on here. Thank you for tuning in. He agrees with the working out while working out while on the job. And I asked that question, and you led right into it perfectly because of new recruits. If the first time that you've actually done any kind of training physically, or any kind of wrist locks, or any kind of wrestling, or whatever discipline that you may have used as far as martial arts or sports or anything like that, the first time, if you've done it, was the academy, then I would suggest keeping up with it constantly, because if you and your partner are showing up and your partner's well versed, and you got to take down the bad guy's well versed too. Your partner's already got to deal with the bad guy, and then potentially have to help you out so you don't get hurt as well. So then you become a liability instead of an asset.
Oh, 100%. And there were times when I had to rip police officers away from the suspect to gain control of the suspect. Like the officers had no idea what they were doing, and we were just making a scene unintentionally and not with any ill will. We were in our authority, the policy and the law to use force, but they didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. And I'm no Bruce Lee by any means. But I had the technique, and I gained control, but I've been slapped, I've been kicked, and I was made fun of for it, but at least I knew what to do to regain control after being slapped and kicked. We lack in the training and defensive tactics, and I know we could talk a lot longer about that, but not trying to shame anyone, because that's not going to get you into a gym shaming yourself. No, I'm encouraging people, show up to a gym, and you're going to have to do it on your own time, on your own dollar, but it's not an expense. It's an investment. And heck, you're increasing your chances of going home alive and well to your family if you train and you get mat time in. It's very crucial. It really is.
And that's the end game goal. I know we used to say that at roll call on certain platoons, is we want to leave our shift the same way we came in, if not better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So let me ask you this: with the shift in the nation, we see it all the way around with the quiet quitting, those not wanting to get into law enforcement issuing sign-on bonuses. You see guys, seasoned vets who are getting out early. Law enforcement recruitment is very challenging right now. What kind of suggestions would you make to I know your audience are maybe individuals, young men, young women, getting out of high school, getting out of college, getting out of the military, and curious about getting into law enforcement, and they may be kind of on the fence if they should go or they should not go. What kind of advice and suggestions would you give to them?
My personal opinion, I've said on my channel before, I equate law enforcement now to real estate. And what's one of the key words in real estate? Location, location, location. Yeah. You have to pick a place that will work for you, whether it be the environment of the city, the department itself, like what kind of administration do they have? What type of work? Are you very busy? Will you get to do investigative work? Will you be just call to call to call? You have to research this stuff. And the fact that somebody says the job is dead. Okay, I understand valuing the input of people who are qualified to give it, but you have to be very careful to accept advice from people who have no idea what they're talking about, except maybe going off the negative emotions that they get from watching the headlines or something like that.
Yeah.
We need police. Like, we need police, and we need good police. If you're getting into it for the right reasons, and you're the right type of person who really likes to be around people, who when you think about responding to 911 and how you can help, that's all important. Who you are is very important. In my last book, 101 Useful Tips for Rookie Police, I said that if you hold true to who you are and you're at a department where you belong, even if people are yelling things at you, like in 2014, people were yelling at me, hands up, don't shoot. We know for a fact that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But they were trying to disgruntle me by yelling that at me
Yeah.
when I was making lawful arrest. I knew who I was and why I was in it. Those people didn't know me. I knew me.
Right.
Their opinion of me did not have to be a reality that I put on in my head.
Right.
Heck no. And that's what I tell people. Just do your research, go on a ride along, but then remember who you are and why you want to get into it. And we still need police. We do, because people are going to be calling 911.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to stop. Absolutely. Now, Travis Yates said the same thing. You said the same thing. It was a ride along that sold you. That once you did that ride along, you're like, I'm sold. This is what I want to do.
Yep. 17 years old, I did a ride along. I was like, this is it.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I when I was 4 years old, I knew that this is what I was going to grow up to do. I had Halloween. I was cops and robbers. I had the handcuffs. I had all that cool stuff. That now, if you know the kind of stuff, I'm like, if I can take it off my duty belt, it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
love it.
So hold on. I thought we had a question coming. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stand by. We're gonna cut the Sergeant Be Safe, and we're gonna come right back to the middle, final part of this interview. Stand by.
All right, sweetie, time to head home.
Hold it right there. Wait just 1 minute. We're here to talk about something super important.
Seatbelt safety. Woohoo!
Oh, hello. What's all the fuss about?
Well, ma'am, we're here to warn you and your little hero about seatbelt safety. Hey, Mom, why are seatbelts so important?
Oh, buckle up, kiddo. Seatbelts keep us safe in case of an accident. They're like our superhero shields.
Exactly. They protect us from getting hurt and keep us in place from sudden stops and turns.
That's really good to know. Safety first, right?
Hey, Mom, that gives me a great idea. I'll always remember to click that belt. Now that's the spirit. Remember, superheroes always buckle up.
And remember, it's not just for superheroes. Everyone should buckle up and stay safe.
Click that, click that, click that belt. Click that, click that, click that belt. Click that, click that, click that belt.
Remember, even if it's just you or your friends and family too, every time you're riding in a car, whether it's near or far, make sure you hear the sound of that seatbelt going down.
We got one thing to say, and it's gonna be heartfelt. When you go for a ride, make sure you click that belt.
Brought to you by One Way Publishing for Safer Highways. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
All right, there we go. I know it was kind of corny, but that one was a lot of fun to make. The voiceovers in that are they don't like to get the shout outs and the accolades. Make sure if you know them, if you guys are local here, make sure you give them a shout out there. They're on the job themselves. They're first responders, and they have a lot of fun doing that. So they donate their time. So give it up for them. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got Scott Medlin right here. We had a wonderful discussion. Scott, you have your own podcast. You've written many books. You do public speaking. You've also been featured on different platforms, magazines, and things like that. That information, and you're on a journey to educate and help spare the life or save lives of fellow first responders and law enforcement officers. Doing that, what is that the question I'm trying to get to, is that like a full-time satisfactory job that you feel necessary, that is needed for our profession as first responders?
So far as like what I'm doing, the work I'm doing?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I bring a presentation, the 10 code mindset, and it's about habits, and it's about doing things like meditation and yoga and journaling, all these kind of things that, I mean, I bashed for the longest time, but when I got so far down emotionally, I had no choice but to look into these things. And it really changed my perspective on things, even though sometimes what was happening on the outside didn't even change, but my vision of them or my perspective on them changed, and I was healthier because of it. So yeah, when I come and I present the 10 code mindset, I push people past their comfort zone. I challenge their traditional way of thinking. I mean, I've had cops in the audience before yell at me. I feel attacked because at one point I told them, "What are you waiting on? Retirement to be happy?"
Yeah.
You know, there's that saying, wherever you go, there you are. Once the newness of retirement wears off, if you spent 20 plus years being miserable, 6 months after retirement, you're going to be right back to being miserable because that's your default, that's your wiring in your brain, and all this different kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I travel as much as I can so far as what's doable for family life as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's been coast to coast, and I've had so many officers come up and just say, "I appreciate it. You explained it in a way that we can practically understand it. You said some things that needed to be said." And unfortunately, I've had so many officers come up to me and say, "I knew a friend, or a friend of mine knew another officer who took their own life."
Yeah.
And it's just so sad. It just happens so much. It's just alarming how many officers have come up to me and said that. It's just so concerning. And yeah, so onward with the mission for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing a good thing, and keep it up. I appreciate it. Yeah. We got a couple comments on the floor. One of them by Clayton Powell. "I've been asked about getting into police work, and at this point in time, my advice is to those thinking about it to follow your heart, but trust your gut."
Yeah.
Hudson Cutno, really good show, guys. In year 31, I am preaching this every day to any officer willing to listen. Absolutely. Scott, are department heads receptive of your message and invite you to talk with fellow officers? Oh, okay. That's an invitation he's asking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I appreciate that, sir. Yes, and let's see, this past summer, I spoke to more higher rank officers, like police chiefs and deputy chiefs. And last month, I spoke to probation chiefs in Pennsylvania, very receptive to the message. And I tell them, I say, mental health does not discriminate. Morale issues do not discriminate. Life happens to everybody, regardless of what rank you are. So take what you learned today, apply it to how you can help yourself, or take these techniques and continue to grow as a person, but also take this information back to your departments. Let's help each other get better and continuously grow, because none of us are perfect and nobody is immune to the stress, demands, and trauma of the job. And they are very receptive, and I've been very grateful of that.
Good. Yeah, preaching about getting that information out there, working on the mindset, working on positivity. Like the old saying is, self-awareness is sexy. Once you realize who you are and know what areas you need to work on, you become a better person. And I had a couple guys on the show who talk about life after retirement, and all of them, basically all their messages come to be the same, which is they did stuff while on the job to prepare for retirement, to have something to look forward to whilst not on the job anymore. You know, whether if fishing was their thing, then some of them had started having a fishing company or renting boats or something involved with their habits and their hobbies that gave them something to do getting outside of retirement. That most of them were like, I don't want anything else to do with law enforcement after putting in 20, 25, 30 years, and they have something to do. And the happy ones are still doing something, still working in their habits that they started while on the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And they also did a good job remembering like who they are as people, and not, it is very easy to put your identity and your story and your mission based on external factors.
Yeah.
And I made that mistake when I worked as a canine officer, and I was growing apart from my wife because that job just consumed me, and I let it become my identity. And when I had to resign from that job, because my wife and I got to a point where she was like, I'm going to do this on my own, because we had our one-year-old son at the time. She was like, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's gotten to that point. So I resigned. It was very hard to do that. The dog went to another person. Very hard decision. But I sank for a year emotionally because I didn't know who I was. Like, my identity was wrapped up in that canine assignment.
Yeah.
And I had to get professional treatment, and I'm glad I did. And we started tapping in again to who Scott was and who Scott can be still with a future ahead. It's very important. And the good thing is, I talk about this in the 10 code mindset. Like, if you meditate 5-10 minutes a day, I know it sounds daunting to those who have never done it, but when you start to actually think about what you want to do, because whether you have no choice or it's just something optional, like, there will be a day when you're not in law enforcement. So think about that and what you would want to do in the life you want to create. You start to eventually attach emotions to it, like positive, hopeful emotions, happy emotions. And all of a sudden, when those emotions are what you think of, the past emotions, even as regardless of how painful they are, they start to lose their power over you, or at least as much power as they did have. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
So that's something I encourage. And I explain it a lot more when I have more time, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. But yeah, I mean, who you are is way more important, way more valuable. And it's basically way more important than what you do.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you. You've been wonderful on the show. You've been provided a good insight on who you are, your experiences, things that you share within your books, within your podcast. I appreciate you coming on the show. We had a lot of discussion, had a lot of questions. Through the course of conversation, I may have forgot to ask a question, or I may have jogged your memory on something that you wanted to point out. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us right now? The floor is yours.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. To anyone battling morale issues, or you just feel stressed out, do not give up. Show up for you each and every day consistently. You may not notice anything immediately so far as results, but if you just keep showing up for you, you can show up that much better for others. And the thing is, we know for law enforcement, the public deserves you to be a better version of yourself and to show up good. Well, the thing is, you should want to be good for yourself, and you should expect. And the thing is, you deserve to be happy and you deserve to be fulfilled, but you got to put in the work. It's okay. It will create lasting pleasure in life. And I'm not saying like hard times won't happen, but just keep showing up for you each and every day, and you can show up that much better for others. It's possible. I'm here as proof of it, and don't give up.
Good advice. Thank you. And thanks again. I appreciate you coming on the show. I admire your work. You got a lot of content out there as far as your books, as far as your podcast, as far as your speaking. But we're looking forward to watching you flourish. I appreciate getting the opportunity to meet and interview you and watching how things continue on, and wishing you a very successful journey.
Thank you, Coach Clee. I really appreciate it. And to anyone interested in having me come speak at their department or their conference or whatever, thescottmedlin.com. You can get in touch with me, and let's connect. We've got to help each other. It's really challenging times.
Yes, it is.
And the support is needed for sure.
Yep. Great show. Absolutely. It was an hour well spent, fellas. Thank you very much, Clayton. We appreciate it. Yep. And like you said, the website's scrolling below, and it's also in the comment section. It's in the comment section on every platform but LinkedIn, because LinkedIn won't let me post while I'm on multiple platforms for whatever reason. But that is what it is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you guys for tuning in. We had another wonderful show here on Black and Blue. Black and Blue, we air weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when we do, we have a dynamic guest on the show. And it's a police officer or a first responder who come on the show, and we talk about their experiences, their trainings, and their publications, whether they're rookie season or retiree. And it's always helpful. It's always relatable. Someone needs this information. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share that information. And we will see you again next week at 7 p.m. So stay tuned. I got a special guest coming next week. I'm not going to say who they are because I got to keep you on the edge of your seat so you can stand by and see who they are. Thank you guys for tuning in. 10-4, over and out.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Captain Chaos, did you know that school bus safety is crucial for young students?
Absolutely, Sergeant Be Safe. We must protect our little heroes from any danger.
And here comes Maya. She's getting ready to go to school. Oh no! Look out, everyone!
Uh-oh, that driver didn't stop for the school bus.
Fear not. He's not going to do that in my town.
It's time for some superhero intervention.
Get him, Sergeant Be Safe.
Captain Chaos, let's go get him! Sergeant Be Safe, time to power up!
He committed a terrible offense by passing a school bus with its stoplights on. He will need to prepare to face the consequences.
Stop that car. Get out!
I'm sorry. I didn't realize the lights were on. I'll be more careful next time.
Listen, the safety of our children is of the utmost importance. Always be vigilant and attentive on the road.
And remember, with great driving comes great responsibility.
Thank you, Sergeant Be Safe and Captain Chaos, for keeping us safe. Have a great day. I'm off to school.
Maya, you have a great day at school too. I'm glad everyone's safe and everything worked out. And as for this driver, he won't be driving reckless for a long time. In fact, you might see him crawling around, going from place to place. Drivers, remember, it's that time of year again. School buses cannot be passed if the stop sign or the lights are illuminated. You could lose your license for up to a year. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.